welcome. We're going to get started here. If you haven't already, go ahead and throw in the chat where you're from or where you call home here in Arizona or here in the Valley. And we'll get started. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Dave Brown. I am the CEO of Valley Leadership. Very excited to be talking to you about Catalyze Class 4. Yes, it's been 4 years. Actually, we had a Ready Together program during COVID, which was the precursor to Catalyze. Catalyze is part of our reimagined programming. So a little different than the first 40 or so years of Valley Leadership. I've now been at Valley Leadership 6 years. And when I started, I was charged with taking VL into the next 40 years. And we heard loud and clear from our alumni, our stakeholders, community partners, and leaders that given the first 40 years of all sorts of outstanding talent and people that came through, let's do some big things. So we've reimagined our programming and how we do that, how we prepare you to do those big things. And that culminates in Catalyze. Catalyze is our foundational experience. It's not a stepping stone to something else. It is the program we expect everybody to do as they go off and get prepared to do great things, big things for the state of Arizona. So I'm going to hand it off to Carrie Larson, who is our program manager, who does a fantastic job, and who, if you do decide to apply and get into the program, will be your guide throughout the program this coming fall. It does a fantastic job. And Carrie, if you could just do a little bit of a self-introduction on your experience, we'll then go ahead and get started. I appreciate everybody joining us for this quick hour.
Hey, everyone. Welcome. Like Dave said, my name's Carrie. I am the Catalyze camp counselor, help you sort through all the things, Catalyze, getting used to it, getting in the swing of things. And then I facilitate parts of the session. But as we will talk about, they're 3-hour sessions. I do not talk for the whole 3 hours. I come to Valley Leadership from working a lot in the K-12 sector. I was a superintendent of a small charter school district. And then prior to that, had helped start a small charter school in South Phoenix and originally came here to the Valley with Teach for America. So it's been great to be here. I love Arizona, love South Phoenix, and really, really like the mission of Valley Leadership, which is what brought me to come join the team, is just thinking about how focused and intentional we can be about doing things for Arizona. So we're excited to have you all here, and let's start talking about what brings you here. So we've got a pretty simple format today. I'm going to talk a little bit first just about high-level Valley Leadership. Then I'll dig into Catalyze specifically. So if you're feeling like you're missing the specifics at the top, we will get there. Then the highlight of the session, we've got 3 alumni here to talk to you about their experiences. And then we will save a good amount of time at the end for any questions that you have. So to start us off, let's just talk a little bit about Valley Leadership in general. So if you've lived in Arizona for a while, you may have heard about Valley Leadership, or maybe you know someone who's graduated from one of our programs, but we've been around for 40 years. And we're pretty well known for our network of alumni that have included some of the highest ranking leaders and elected officials in our state. Over the years, as Arizona has changed, we have changed. Our vision for supporting leaders remains exactly the same, but our mission has evolved. And today, our programs are more of a reflection of what we think it means to be a community leader and to lead in today's Arizona. And our goal is to set the stage for Arizona for the next 40 years and beyond. And our mission is to bring a broad spectrum of Arizonans together to work in collaboration as leaders to impact Arizona's most pressing issues. What you see or maybe don't see, but is embedded in that statement, is this idea that leadership is action. That is our simplest way of thinking about it, our tagline, if you will. And we do believe that leadership is not a title, it is not a position, it is not a salary level. It's about people who choose to practice leadership. If you can demonstrate that you have a community-first mindset, you're ready to engage with issues, and you're open to learning, we want to work with you. We're not worried about what your title is or how many people you manage. And if you manage a ton of people, we're also happy to work with you and help you to improve in those skills as well. So what does it look like to work with us and to join this community? The first thing is to know we are a values-driven organization. We use these to help us make all of our decisions and figure out what matters to us and what we're going to do. And we call our values our principles of doing. Not buzzwords, truly are what guide us in everything we do. So our values are driven to do, taking action with an outcome in mind, and focusing on what can be done now, big or small. Arizona first, approaching issues from a standpoint of what is best for our state with an ethos of shared responsibility across interests. Building trust, taking pride in building a culture that fosters relationships and trust in order to find common ground. And operating with a team mindset, committing to the team's success above personal success. And practicing integrity. Engaging in others' perspectives with respect, taking responsibility for our biases, and understanding, most importantly, that we are not always right. So over the past 3 years, we have been focused on these pieces and evolving our programs to align to this mission and to these values and to this question when we want to engage with somebody, what do you want to do? And here we are today. We've taken all the best parts of our past programming and built upon it to create a new suite of programs that we believe have potential to really move Arizona forward. New programs are designed for anyone who wants to do good work for Arizona. So this question on the screen is really what it comes down to. And if you are interested in doing things for Arizona, you're in the right place. And you're at the right starting point. We have our Catalyze program. That's what we're here to talk about today. So if that's what you're hoping to hear about, you are in the right place. And this is our sort of baseline entry level program. But then we also have our ongoing effort called Impact Maker. And we will talk a lot more about Impact Maker a little bit later in the session because we do want you to understand some of you may have come here because of interactions with Impact Maker and wanting to know how you can get there. So we'll talk a little more about that. But then we do have 2 other programs that you're also eligible to be part of after you complete Catalyze, which is Explore or Summit in the future. Catalyze is just the foundational experience. We are hoping to work with you all for a long time. So welcome. Let's talk about what you're really here to hear about today, which is our Catalyze program. And it's designed to do 4 things. 1, help you all make connections with others who are eager to make a positive impact on their community. We want to create space for you all to build knowledge about yourselves and the most pressing issues facing Arizona. We want to make sure we're giving you tools that will help you build upon your own introspection, communication, and collaboration skills. And lastly, we want to help broaden your perspectives, and interacting with you also helps us broaden our perspectives. From hearing from each other, from community leaders that are working on the biggest issues facing our state. These building blocks are the reason why we use Catalyze as a prerequisite to our other programs, because we think we've really put this together to help it prepare you to take thoughtful action when you're working in your community. So when it came to creating this program, our team was really intentional about creating a program that not only introduces you to the issues in Arizona, but also shows how they're interconnected. And we do feel that focus on interconnectedness and really understanding yourself and Arizona is what sets this apart from something that might take place over a weekend or a day. And that's part of why this is a little bit longer commitment. It takes time to do these things. What you can see here is the Vitalist Healthy Communities Wheel. Some of you may have heard of Vitalist. They're a local organization with a mission for improving health for all Arizonans. And if you're familiar with the social determinants of health, you'll see that this wheel is based on them. If you're not familiar with the social determinants of health, no worries. I wasn't either before I worked more with Valley leadership. These are factors that determine whether people and communities live healthy and fulfilling lives. The World Health Organization, government, social service providers, researchers across the globe and here in Arizona use this as a model to help think about interconnectedness and health issues. I share this because we want you to know there's intention and sometimes tough decisions, but decision-making and thought that has gone into choosing the topics we are going to work on, because we couldn't get everything in, right? So we've got in as much as we could, and we've used this Vitalist Wheel and social determinants of health along with our values and our mission to help us decide what needs to be a part of this program. So here's a map of the Catalyze experience. We've got 12 sessions where we dive into the issues you see here, all of it underlain by this framework of social determinants of health. I'm going to give you a second to take a look at these. Actually, they're kind of small and a little blurry, so I'll read them to you real quick. After we do our intro and social determinants of health, we go into environmental sustainability, housing, neighborhoods and community, jobs in the economy, policy and funding, education, racial justice, child well-being, hope and opportunity. And at the end, the last session is actually graduation. All of our sessions aim to introduce you to the issues listed there, but also show how they're interconnected and allowing you to hear from local experts on the ground who are really doing the work and really embedded in it and helping us understand from them what we need to be thinking about for these topics. We already talked about it quite a few times, this idea of interconnectedness, but two other pieces you'll see over and over through the program is adaptability and equity. We need to be adaptable to be the people doing the things that Arizona needs to be done. And we are always asking ourselves, when there's places where Arizonans have outcomes that are not equitable across the state, what could we be doing to resolve that? And again, always asking small and big. It doesn't have to be a huge thing that's going to take a decade. It could be a small move, and those are just as valuable. All right, so what are you going to see when you come to a session? Here's an agenda. They are pretty packed, so the sessions are long, but we fit a lot in. And we start right at the beginning. You probably find yourself in a breakout room in the first 5 to 10 minutes of a session, because we want you to really get a chance to talk to other people, even though it's a virtual session. And then we will jump through, like I said, the goal is not that I am talking at you for 3 hours, but that we are bringing in experts, maybe one expert, maybe up to as many as 5, depending on the topic and session format. So that's just a rough idea of what an agenda might look like for one of the 12 sessions. And then if you're curious about the sort of guest speakers we have, it does change a little bit every year, but here's a sampling of some folks who have come to talk to us in the first 3 years of the Catalyze program. And as we work with these people, we're really thinking about our commitment to being driven to do for Arizona. So you will hear from people who are actually doing work and talking to you about what they see being done and what they see needing to be done in the future. We'll present you information in a way that not only ties everything together, but our goal is also to tie you to the issues. So you see how you're connected to Arizona, how Arizona is connected to you. And then we're always thinking about what skills and knowledge do we bring to the table that we could leverage or use to take action now. All right, so real quick, I'm going to slow down a little on structure here for our folks who love logistics. 12 sessions, kick off in early September, wrap up in February. Those sessions are virtual and they're 3 hours long. They occur almost every other week. For this class in December, we do have 2 back-to-back weeks because our goal is to give you a longer break from sessions at the end of December and in early January. You can expect anywhere from 1 to 1.5 hours, occasionally maybe as little as a half hour of prep as we get ready for the session. We want engaging sessions. I am not going to just read things to you. The most talking you'll hear me do consecutively is probably right now in this information session. So if we do want you to read something, we'll give it to you ahead of time so you can read it, so we can spend our time being together and talking about what we read about and what we learned about. Depending on how you feel about Zoom, that may not be your favorite thing, but we have really set up, the people who have built this program are people with many, many years of experience, decades of experience in adult education and online education, making sure we've made these sessions interactive and engaging. And this is what allows our program to be accessible when we say to all leaders. Some people don't have a schedule that allows them to be somewhere for 3 hours every other week. So we're really trying to make sure we can be virtual. It's easier to hop on, be a part of it, and then go right back to whatever you need to be doing. And it also lets folks from a wide range of places in Arizona and even in the Valley attend without having to do a long drive. Like I said, we do promise we are not going to just have you sit and listen to somebody speak for 3 hours. And we do talk to all of our speakers about setting aside time to engage with you all. So when you get a chance, to have a mayor of a city or somebody as one of your speakers, you also get time to engage with them and ask them questions and talk to them about things. So we get a chance to have all of those pieces. We do have in-person pieces as well. We have our program kickoff, which is mandatory, and that's in person. It gives us a chance to get together and for you to meet other people who are in the program, hear a little more about the program as you know it, and get to know your pod, which is a smaller group within the larger program that you get to spend a lot of time with and hopefully build meaningful connections and stronger relationships with, because you get a little more time with your pod relative to other folks who are in the Catalyze class. There is also the pre-work that's virtual. We put it in a platform called CoAssemble. It's online. You get access to it, so you can do the pre-work whenever you want that works for you. And then we also have optional in-person socials, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And our graduation is in person. So we do get chances to come together as a group and really spend time all together. And that time is a little less structured because that kind of relative to our virtual sessions, which are highly structured, you get a lot more time in the socials to walk around, talk to people, get to know people, invite your pod, make sure everybody from your pod shows up to the social so you can hang out together. But we do have a few structured pieces of it. One, we do a few things to help you get out and meet some people who maybe are outside of your pod or session day so you can expand your network. And then we have our impact maker teams who leads will be there, different folks for different socials, and they will talk to you about what their team is working on. And if you don't know what the impact teams are, more to come on that in a few moments from me as well. So we're going to try to get everything outlined and clear for everyone by the end of the session. And then also it's just a chance to meet Valley Leadership board members. Valley Leadership staff will also be there, and maybe check out some new places in the Valley. So what are we hoping to do here by the end of our program? So the first thing is, scattered throughout the program, you are hearing from expert guest speakers. Parallel to that, you're doing independent work that helps you prepare for the sessions. You're also doing reflection and work in the sessions, all coming together to helping you create your commitment to doing at the end of the Catalyze program. So this is maybe different than folks who have heard about previous iterations of our programs. We're not asking you to come in with a decision at the start. We're asking you to stick with us, really think and be reflective. And at the end, think about what you want your commitment to do to be. And then thinking about, what's my personal plan for making this commitment to do happen? Some of you may already be doing great things for Arizona, and we're not asking you to add a whole new thing or to change your whole career or life trajectory or your passion. You may just refine or change what you're already doing. You may be brand new to Arizona and say, even at the end of 12 sessions, Carrie, I am not going to be clear about what I want to do. We do have our impact maker teams. And so that is a great way, as you're watching and learning about these teams and getting a chance to meet people at socials, to think about whether this might be an option for you. So we've created Impact Maker. It's a network of Valley Leadership alumni and strategic partners who are working together to tackle to-do lists in pursuit of immediate impact and systemic change. So we're a little bit trying to do both, the upstream and the downstream. Through getting involved in the community, you don't have to know exactly what to do, who to talk to, or what the systemic change is, or how we would start tackling it. You join a team and then help that team make progress towards their goals. Right now, we've got 7 impact teams focused on this whole range of issues you see up here. We continue to grow and add teams and plans as we learn more about what issues are most pressing for Arizona. Anyone who completes Catalyze or anyone who's already gone through a Valley Leadership program is eligible to join Impact Maker. So if you want to join an impact team, being here, talking about Catalyze Class 4, this is the way to do that. We do use Catalyze sort of as a prerequisite for joining a team, because we find that leaders who are self-aware, understand their own biases and values, and operate from a framework of the issues in Arizona are going to be most successful as team members helping advance the key to-do items for these teams. Part of that is how we show up matters when we're trying to make these big change, how you show up in conversations, how you show up to teams, how you address issues has an impact. And in Catalyze, we work a lot, not on making us all perfect experts, but making us all better at conversations and difficult conversations and thinking about how to bring people to the table so that you really can work with others. All right, back to logistics now. So we have the weeks for the sessions are all set out. You can see them on our website under our FAQs. You also can come back and watch this video. We'll share that out as well because we're recording our session. We will offer 2 session options, a daytime session and an evening session. Again, we're trying to make this program as accessible as possible to people depending on what your job, your life, your work will allow you to do. The session times are based on what you all want. Once you're selected for class 4, we ask you what works for you. And I am pretty confident we're going to be able to make this work for everybody because we have done this 4 times now, and we have always been able to land on a day, 2 session days and times that made it possible for 100% of the class to participate. So we feel good that we'll be able to do that for you all as well. Remember, in addition to these dates you see here, we will have those optional socials that will be sort of sprinkled throughout the program. Next up, thinking a little about the cost of this program. There is a cost to the program, but we do not want it to be a barrier to participation. So we have a sliding scale for the cost. The program ranges from $200 to $850 depending on income level. And those income levels differ based on whether someone belongs to a household with a single income or a household with multiple incomes. Scholarships and wage replacement may be available. We ask you in the application just to let us know if you think you're going to have a need, and then we'll send out an additional survey where you can really specify needs after you're accepted to class 4. And I do not think this would matter to the people reading your applications, but you can feel confident that we hide all demographic and request for scholarship information from those who review the applications. So the application itself. It's online. You have to put in a handful of things, but honestly, the core of the application is really just a couple of short answer questions. Our questions are intended to help us understand where you're at in your leadership journey. You can be anywhere and still be in Catalyze class 4. We do want to know how you work with others and what you think being driven to do means for you. Our applications are reviewed by a team of board members who are community leaders, our CEO, and other community partners. And we do use a rubric to help identify folks who will be successful in our program. So be thoughtful in your application. Give us the opportunity to get to know you. We are excited to be building a great 4th class. Applications are due May 31st. So please hit submit by May 31st. And we'll review applications after that time. So we have a little bit of a window to make sure we give every application multiple reviews. So you have a fair chance to have multiple people have a look at it. And then we'll get you a notification email, whether you've been accepted or not, on June 17th. We know everybody's thinking about the fall and plans, and we're hoping letting you know by mid-June gives you a chance to still work on your fall plans. When you have major life issues you're trying to work through, just make the plans. And if you're accepted to the class, you're going to let me know about it. And we're going to figure out what we can do, whether that's deferring or making it work around the issue you have. To access our application, you head to our website, valleyleadership.org/Catalyze. Please submit by May 31st. All right. That was so much Carrie talking. So now we're going to get a break to the best part of the session, hearing from some of our alum about their experience. So our first alum who's going to come share is a regional president at Meadows Bank. He's got a wealth of experience in commercial banking, relationship management, and underwriting. He also volunteers his time to support the Junior Achievement Program and is a member of our first ever Catalyze class. He's continued to work with Valley Leadership on multiple Impact Maker teams. Welcome, David Scott. David, I'm going to hand it over to you to share a little bit about your Catalyze experience.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie. And can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great, thanks. Well, it's great to be able to be here to share this. And, I know everybody on this call right now probably has a lot of things in common that I want to make sure that you realize. And that's really about doing things that benefit this community and things that are, a larger purpose than yourself. So we're all united by that spirit of the things that we want to do. I was a part of Catalyze Class 1 just as we were coming out of COVID, and we were struggling to find ways to reconnect to that work again. And I've always liked the name of Catalyze, like from kind of a nerd perspective here, because the chemistry, like a catalyst is something that speeds up a reaction, and the catalyst is not consumed in the process. It facilitates this action. The mission of VL about focusing on Arizona and our local communities first and being driven to do just really always resonated with me. I've never considered this to be a time commitment because this has always been a part of what my life's work was to elevate the local community that I live in. And as I went through the Catalyze program, maybe you'll respond to things in the way that I did, which was when I started to learn about the social determinants of health and all these different areas of our society that had a lot of work that needs to be done, I felt overwhelmed. I felt like, how was I going to ever make a difference on some of these really big and cumbersome projects? And the fact of the matter is that myself alone, I couldn't make a difference. But in connection with everybody else who shares that same spirit of doing for others and being driven to create positive action, yeah, we can make a lot of great things happen. I went through Catalyze and I gravitated towards Impact Maker and got involved after that in early childhood literacy. And that really resonated with me because my own child was struggling to read. He was a kindergartner during COVID. So I got connected into that work immediately, and it's just been so rewarded to see the progress that's been made on that particular issue over the last few years as we've been doing that work. And the more people that we can get involved in this, the bigger the positive impact that we can all make together. So I'd encourage you all to really seriously consider Catalyze as a way to get you plugged into these things that benefit our community. And just know, like, you may feel overwhelmed by this experience, and that's okay. You can make a difference. We need you there. VL does a great job of bringing a lot of diverse voices, which is not like a nice to have thing. It's critical. All the stakeholders from our community have to have a spot at the table, no matter like whether you're a CEO or, you don't manage anybody. It doesn't matter. Your voice is something that's valuable in this conversation. So that's part of my story. And I'll turn it over to the next alumni to share this.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And thanks for the Impact Team plug. So next up, we're going to hear from Senior Director of Systems Change at First Things First. She's got a diverse background in community engagement, environmental activism, and education. She's a member of our third Catalyze class and has jumped right into work with our child wellbeing impact team, along with being willing to support me in my first year running Catalyze with resources on early childhood development from our own Catalyze session on child wellbeing. We were so grateful to have her support and engagement. Thank you for being here, Cynthia. Can you jump on and tell us a little bit about your own experience and what was impactful?
Yeah, thank you so much, Carrie and Dave. Thanks for inviting me and everybody for being here today. I did not actually attend one of these sessions when I first was interested, and it's really nice to hear everything that was just shared is exactly what you will get from this program. And I say that because I want to be very honest. When I was interested in applying for VL, it was through work. It was through, career advancement and interest from my team in supporting me to grow in this program. So of course I was interested, but I was skeptical. And I didn't tell you all this, Carrie and Dave. But there's a lot of leadership programs out there, and trying to figure out which one's the right one. What's the culture like? What do you need to know about my resume in order for me to be qualified to join? And it was refreshing to see the program and recognize that this leadership program is genuine about developing the person wherever they're at, wherever you're coming from, to be a leader, and recognizing that we are all leaders and we can make a difference. So it was really nice for me to hear that, and to see that the values and the philosophy of Valley leadership aligned with my values and with where I wanted to grow. and and what was amazing was to so when I started in this program, I was the senior director of community engagement at First Things First, and I've been doing that for many years, raising the public's awareness about how critical everything is to impact the life of a child. And so I was very interested in learning about how systems interact and interplay in the lives of children, and how we as leaders can really make a difference for them. So I found that throughout Valley leadership, there was a connection to young children, to communities, to how society can make a difference for the health and the vitality of our communities. And so that really spoke to me. And I was able to interact and engage with people from all across Arizona to learn about the issues. So we had amazing speakers. I know Carrie shared a lot about the lineup of speakers that you'll hear from. But what's excellent is that you get to interact with them. You're not just hearing from them. You're not just sitting in an audience, but then you're also interacting with your peers in the program, your cohort, your pod. And that was probably the most impactful for me, partly because I'm a think out loud learner. So I really needed to engage and connect. And so I took every opportunity to go to those socials and network and talk and meet my colleagues in this program. And many are now friends. And I think it's because we, like David Scott shared, we all have that common thread that we care about our communities. And no matter where you're coming from, your political alliance or anything, this program supports you to find alignment and work together, and connect yourself to each other as a team, because none of this work can be done alone. So we're all connected, and so that the value of interconnectedness really comes through and is so inspiring at the end. It really comes full circle. So I really just encourage you all to take advantage of this opportunity. It is a time commitment, but it's worth it. And they're very flexible. I know Carrie and Dave were very flexible. And even when you have feedback, because they do surveys after each class. So, I'm there sharing some of my thoughts. And I said, yes, you can reach out, because I have some resources that I'd love to share with you. And, Carrie calls, and, I was honestly worried. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm certainly not anybody to share anything with this group, this amazing, talented group of leaders, but they're so open. And I think that's what's wonderful, is that I felt included and involved, and like I was genuinely participating in a learning group. And there wasn't this pressure of I have to perform, or I have to show up to class ready to give a speech. That is not what this program is. It is very supportive, and just it's a wonderful program. So I'll stop there, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thanks for sharing. And bonus points for talking about interconnectedness. We love it. And we do have one more alum here to share. He is a manager from State Farm, has been a member of the State Farm team for over a decade. And what I've just been impressed by with his commitment to his team is, after going through the Catalyze program and learning about the importance of collaboration and working together with your team, he turned around and did some professional development for his team on some of the things he had learned in Catalyze. He is a member of our third class, and we're so happy to have Raul Delgado here to share his Catalyze experience with us today. Raul, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie, and thank you, Dave, for the invitation. I'm glad to be here. So good afternoon. My name's Raul Delgado, and a recent alumni of the Catalyze Class 3. I'm going to say it was the best class because I noticed that prior alumni from the prior iterations were all say that they were part of the best class. So just keeping the tradition going. So I first heard about the program from my boss, who approached me saying that this would be a good personal and professional development opportunity for me. So I started doing some research, and I was where you are at last year, and I attended one of these sessions, and I was immediately hooked. It looked very, very interesting to me because I have a genuine curiosity about learning more about the challenges facing Arizona and the potential solutions. I just didn't know where to start. I knew that I had this yearning to want to learn, grow, share, connect, and influence. But I had no idea, well, like, how does one even do that? So Catalyze provided that for me. And the program completely exceeded my expectations because I absolutely gained some very valuable knowledge about the challenges facing Arizona and the potential policy solutions. And the speakers that got invited were just phenomenal subject matter experts in their fields. I got to learn from my pod mates. I got to learn and grow from my peers because they were very intentional about giving us an opportunity to share our thoughts with not just the pod mates that you're assigned to, but everyone else. The social sessions were great because I met and made some really good connections there as well, and it just really helped me understand more about the issues, solutions, and how I can help. And the other thing I gained, and this happened very organically, was I expanded my network because I got to connect with leaders, future leaders across Arizona and the Phoenix metro area. And the program is comprised of a very healthy mix of folks like me from the private sector or folks in the public sector and also in the nonprofit sector. And I think that's by design because all three sectors have to work together in order to move Arizona forward. So if you're thinking about applying and you have a genuine curiosity about learning more about challenges, solutions, policy, then this program's for you. But what I'll say is come prepared to have your assumptions challenged, remain objective, and keep an open mind. It does take a significant time commitment because of the biweekly sessions, right? And Carrie and Dave were very gracious because I had to travel a couple of times and I missed a session here or there, but they allowed me to still continue with the program. And I was able to catch up and catch up with my pod mates and catch the videos. And then there was also the pre-work that you do. And again, it's just a valuable investment of time and money. So I encourage you to go ahead and move forward and apply. And then the other thing that I learned, and I don't get to do this much because I don't know about you all, but personal development is always the first thing that goes on the back burner for me as I'm trying to juggle my commitments to my organization, my career, my family. But this gave me a framework to do something that I don't do often, and I think it's very valuable is journaling. Throughout the program, you get a chance, and I have it here because I always keep it handy. You get a little journal that guides you and through a personal self-reflection about what you've learned, how you feel about it, and what you can do to influence how everything is connected. And it's just a really, really good exercise that you can incorporate into what you do on your day to day. I think Carrie mentioned that I did reach out because the program was great. And I said, "Hey, how much of this can I share?" And I shared a good amount of it with my team. And one of the things that I revived at my organization were the SMART goals because we talked about SMART goals, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's I remember SMART goals. I remember learning about SMART goals about a decade ago." I'm like, "This is great. Let's revive this," because I fortunate enough to lead a team of leaders that are new to leadership that needed a framework on how to effectively lead their team. So it really did help me both personally, professionally, and I can't recommend Catalyze enough. So if you're ready to challenge yourself and grow professionally and personally, I'd encourage you to apply. Me personally, I'm still deciding which impact maker team to join, I've narrowed it down to two. It's either jobs or the jobs in the economy or education. I'm gonna make my decision here very soon, I promise. But I'm looking forward to continuing to learn and grow and see where I can continue making an impact. So thank you for letting me share.
And thank you so much for sharing. And a great reminder about the journal, because I completely forgot to talk about it. In addition to our virtual sessions, we do, for those of you who are like me, like a pencil and paper person, we're giving you a chance to write. And also, we all know some things you remember a little differently or in a better way if you get a chance to write it down as well. So thank you. I do want to say quickly to our speakers, thank you for your time. I'm pretty sure you gave up a good chunk of your lunch to be here. So hop off, so you at least get 15 minutes to eat something. But we really appreciate you being here and your time. Thank you. And for everyone else, like we said, we wanted to leave a good amount of time for Q&A. So this is our only remaining agenda item, is ask us questions if you've got them. You can type them in the chat. You can come off of mute. We've got Dave, our CEO, and Paige, our marketing director, here to help too if you have questions that stump me.
I have a quick question. Just on the homework, in quotation marks, personal work. What does that consist of? Is it just questions? Is it projects? Is it essays? I don't know how detailed we get into that.
Yeah, it's all over the place a little bit, but it's most of the time it's things like read maybe an article, and lots of times we'll even take pieces of an article out for you. This is the most important part to read. Or maybe we might give you the whole text. If you're interested in it, you can read it all, but we'll say, your job is just to read this page 1, read the executive summary. Lots of times it's watch a quick video. Probably our biggest undertaking we ask to do as pre-work is for one of our sessions, we ask you to drive around 2 different zip codes to see some of the differences in what different zip codes based on life expectancy look like. And, doing that driving probably takes you half an hour or 45 minutes. But otherwise that's the only thing I really can think of that isn't at your computer. It's all otherwise things you can do at your computer and things you could pop in and out of, watch a 3-minute video and then back to work and pop back to the pre-work and work on it again.
Mm-hmm.
There are some like quizzes and surveys you do about yourself, as far as, like we said, we try to have you do some of the getting ready for it ahead of the session. So we may say, do this reflection on your skills. Think about what are the skills you already have. What are your strengths you're bringing to the team already? And you get some time to take a survey that helps you kind of reflect and scale down your list of strengths. And then you show up at the session and talk with your pod about those strengths and how they, connect to things you're working on. So those are the kinds of things we have you do.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Sounds good.
Alejandro, our evening sessions, it's ranged a little bit. It will also depend on what you all say you want, but usually something like 5 to 8. We could bump it. It may end up being 30 minutes earlier or 30 minutes later, depending on the needs of participants. But we try to do it kind of at the tail end of what is the sort of traditional 9-to-5 workday.
And then there's also a second session that is held earlier in the day. So we'll have 2 during the week, and one of them will be maybe noon to 3 or 2 to 5. And then we'll have one that's 5 to 8 to allow for those different schedules. And then there was a question about pod members.
Oh yeah. So we go a little bit back and forth on members in a pod. It would be probably something like 9 to 12 people in your pod.
You do have a chance when we do breakouts again to meet other people outside your pod, so that you have a chance to meet people within your pod and get to know them more. You do a lot of self-reflection with those same people, so you start to develop that level of comfort with them as you're talking about. We do an exercise on life story and how you spend your time and some of these other things. So you get a level of comfort with those people in your pod, but then you also have opportunities for breakouts with people you haven't met. So you can discuss the issues that are coming up during class and other things. So you do we try to expose you as much as possible to everyone in your cohorted group in the full class, but then also have some good one-on-one time with your pod mates to develop those deeper relationships. Any other questions, comments? What I was saying when I was on mute was that Carrie, thank you, you did such an outstanding job, comprehensive with all the things Catalyze that maybe people just don't have questions. But yeah, any final thoughts or questions?
Thanks for hosting an information session. Appreciate being able to come and learn about it. I actually would prefer this over reading the website. I realized most of it was on there, but I was like, oh, I can come here and someone will tell me about it. Thank you. It's my learning style. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, so we have another in-person session and another online session. This will be recorded and sent out. So if you want to come back to it at all, any questions along the way, ping Carrie, ping me. I'm Dave at valleyleadership.org. Always happy to talk VL and Catalyze. And excited for all of you to be a part of Class 4. It's an exciting new program and a new kind of way of doing things, as our testimonials explained. And I don't believe they were prepped. So I mean, they just did a great job of honest feedback around the program, which I loved. It's something that we feel strongly about as we think about the next 40 years here in Arizona. As someone who was born and raised here, the next 40 years of what we do as leaders will be extremely important to our children and grandchildren's future. So appreciate everybody being a part of that.
This is my email. Reach out. I'm happy to answer questions that you think of as you're going, or if you're in the middle of the application, you have questions, whatever you need. Thank you all so much. And if you know anybody who missed this, we're recording it. We'll post it up and send it out. So forward it on to your amazing friends and colleagues and family members and send them all our way.